Alright, this is my Black Sabbath CD collection. We got a lot to review. Alright, I've been putting this one off for a long time because this is probably the toughest, worst, the best I ever had to write here. This is probably, what, episode 7 or 8 by now? It's for Black Sabbath. Wearing a Heaven and Hell shirt. Saw them in concert. I got their autograph. I had to stand in line for like 3 hours to meet the man, Ronnie James Dio. Yes. For all you Ozzy fans, for all the people who haven't even listened to the entire discography, if you're going to criticize and go crazy and angry and stuff because it's not all that I even mentioned, like Tony Martin albums that you probably didn't even listen to, turn the video off immediately right now. We're going through all of it. I'm a Tony Iommi fan. So, let's just jump right into it. Oh, you also know the rules. I throw out all live albums and greatest hits, compilation stuff. I always mention them when, need be. But we're just going straight up studio albums. Number 20. Starting off, a little bit of controversy. Number 13. I don't even have that CD because I torrented that and I don't even like it. If you've seen Black Sabbath in concert since the 90s until when they just called it quits like 2 years ago, it was the same exact set list. It was uninspired. It was boring. I was like, oh, for people who only listened to the Ozzy stuff and missed everything from like 1980 through Forbidden and Tony Iommi's solo albums after that, yeah, you might think this album was like, oh, cool, it sounded just like the old days. It sounded like the same old tired riffs that Tony kind of ran out of steam on like his solo albums. It was not good. Ozzy sounded old and creaky. I did like a fan edit of, what the hell was the name of that? So I can't even remember the name of the song. God is Dead. I sped it up, and I just hate that album. Stinks. We're going to go to 19, alright? I ain't going to spend too much time on this, because this video is going to end up being like 2 hours long if I went into that depth. Technical Ecstasy. There's no big hits on it. It's got Rock and Roll Doctor. It's got Dirty Women on it. The whole rest of the album I don't care about. I mean, like, Rock and Roll Doctor and Dirty Women aren't even, like... They at least played those in concert. The rest of the albums, I can't even remember how the tunes, how they go. It's just not, it's completely forgettable. Another Ozzy album. Number 18. Boy Dio. His last album he ever made. This isn't even a bad album. It was just... back to more Tony Iommi's only doing slow, doomy riffs instead of all like the imagination he used on like the 80s albums and the early 90s stuff and like Dehumanizer, stuff like that. That's not present on this. A little bit more so than it was on 13. I should have put these two back to back to make that kind of... But Dio's on there. He classes it up. He adds a little bit more imagination to it, and his voice was really kind of aged and weak, and he sounded like an old wizard at this point. So, not a great effort, but it was okay. It's not an embarrassment for Dio's last album. It's just there's a whole lot better stuff on this list. 17. People usually throw this one as dead last. I'm going to save it from dead last because I absolutely hated 13. We got Forbidden. The last before 13, this was the last official Black Sabbath album, but Devil You Know it's got the members from the other, it had Carmine, or Vinny Appice, Appice, and Geezer and Dio, but this was contractual obligation, and Tony's apparently like remixing it, redoing it, gonna try and make it sound more majestic. I thought the production didn't sound like heavy and big and so maybe I'm holding out hope. That's why I put it not dead at the last, but I liked the early 90s Sabbath stuff. This was kind of a letdown. I liked the album that came before it, Cross Purposes. Alright. 16. This one's controversial. Like I'm gonna say, if you go crazy over, like, you know, some guy's personal opinions here, like, or whatever, a fan opinion, turn the video off. This ain't for you. You can't handle nothing. I'm throwing Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. I just never liked this one. I never liked the song Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. So, sue me! Other stuff on there, Spiral Architect, that's another big one. Sabracadabra, National Acrobat. I mean, they go more into like the prog rocky sound. Kind of took like the evil out of their riffing, but it wasn't dark. It was more like them trying to go, I don't know, I don't want to say yes, but, you know, more prog rocky kind of. It just never really did anything. I didn't like the production on it either. It didn't sound kind of flat. Slight controversy, the next one. I got a weird copy of it too. This is actually volume 4. This is like some weird budget import version that I got at like music store in the mall. What was mine called? Power Sound. And they called it Children of the Grave because they got like a live version from Live at Last, Children of the Grave on there. I like Tomorrow's Dream. I like Supernaut. It's got good songs. It doesn't have the greatest songs on here. I kind of put it low on the list because I don't listen to it that often. But when I do, this is one why I kind of... Tony Iommi's always put like a little bit of a filler track on every album, a little instrumental. This one was effects. It's basically just feedback and echoes of... It sounded like him just tuning his guitar, and it's ridiculous. That's one of the worst songs, if you can even call that a song. Here's another controversy. This isn't a bad... Most people are going to put this as number 1 or 2. It's down on my list because it's so damn played out. Everybody's heard every one of these songs 10,000 times. What album do you think I'm going to do? Yeah, it's Paranoid. Nobody needs to hear War Pigs. I never really liked War Pigs. It's just one of those songs... Oh, they're playing the concert again. This is where we go to... We'll hit up one of my live albums, The Cross Purposes Live. They kind of stayed away from some of this tour. They kind of stayed away from some of those songs. They didn't even play Iron Man on this, or War Pigs. They played a little bit more like, you know, deeper stuff. I thought that was cool. Nobody needs to hear War Pigs again. Nobody hears to hear Paranoid again. Iron Man again. Ugh. Fairies Wear Boots. It's down on the list because I've heard it so many times, and honestly, we're gonna wait towards the end of this video. If you made it even this far, I'll go back to this again because there's something I want to say. It includes some of those songs. Hint: it's a compilation album. It's my pick for best compilation album. Here we go. Number 13. One of the sickest riffs Tony Iommi ever wrote. It's kind of a hidden gem, but anybody who followed the Tony Martin years, has any bootleg live recordings, this song was always a highlight. It was on Tier, on Oh Monday. Oh my god, I love that song. This album, for the Tony Martin era, it's kind of in the middle of the pack, but I don't know, Monday alone. This is what I'm saying. Like, Tony Iommi has like such creative sounding riffs at this time. Lawmaker was good. Valhalla was good. Feels Good to Me was kind of like them trying to put like a single on there too to get some radio airplay. I think they had like, you know, top 40 hits with this kind of stuff in like Europe and Germany and England and stuff. Didn't really come over here. Number 12. My boy Glenn Hughes, 7 star. You saw my Deep Purple video, best of. You know I like Glenn Hughes. I got 2 copies of it. This one comes with a live concert I already had on bootleg, and this one's the sound quality is worse. This was them in 1986. This is what what's his face, Ray Gillan, and like I said, sound quality stinks, but I love this album. It's a bit too short. I think it was only like 36 minutes or something. I know there's tons of like demos and stuff. They couldn't, dust one off and make the song 10 songs long. I mean, one of these is just an intro. Heart Like a Wheel is a badass blues song. In for the Kill, I love the fast stuff. Turn to Stone, the fast stuff. 7 Star is kind of slow and creepy. Who's ringing the phone? Like I said, the song 7 Star kind of goes back to the early days and Tony Iommi doing slow, heavy, doomy riffs, but the fast stuff, the solos he does on this, he was stretching out, he was being more creative. That's what I really liked about the 80s Tony Iommi. Where are we now? Number 11. If you're William Shatner, you call this Sabotage. But it's Sabotage. I like this one. I didn't like Black Sabbath, but for some reason I like Sabotage. It was around the same time. I just like the songs better on this one. Hole in the Sky I love. I love Symptom of the Universe. Thrill of It All. That's a good one. Super Czar. They always play that like the intro at concerts. I never liked Am I Going Insane Radio. The Writ was good. Them talking about getting ripped off by their managers. Kind of like their Death on Two Legs. I just really like that one. I like that one better than of the Ozzy stuff. That's one of my favorite ones. But where are we at now? Oh, number 10. Kind of controversial. I put this one high, but this is one of the ones I got when it came out brand new. Boom! Cross Purposes. And it's out of print and it's worth money. Eyewitness I loved. I love Psychophobia. Virtual Death. Kind of a slow, doomy one. This is Tony Martin's back. Back to Eden. They actually played that on the radio in New York. I remember hearing it. They only played it for like the week it came out and then you never heard it again. But I remember actually hearing Tony Martin stuff on the radio and I like that. He's more of his creative riffing. It wasn't just the same old stuff. This is right towards the end, the second to last album, and then he did his solo stuff, and I was thinking, well, solo stuff, Tony Iommi was like the only member of the classic member that was still in after Forbidden. Forbidden was way better than, sad to say, Iommi. This got maybe like 3 good songs on it. They got like some modern day producer on there. Laughing Man with Henry Rollins, that was good. There's a song with Ozzy, Who Foolin' Who, I didn't really like. Into the Night with Billy Idol, that was okay. He was starting to fall back on just the slow, doomy stuff and stop playing fast, and it's kind of... They're not inspired anymore. And then... This used to be a bootleg they used to call 8th Star. Because it's him and Glenn Hughes, and it was just stuff they made hanging out, and then somehow it got bootlegged and out, and then they just officially put it out. There's nothing really great on this. If it didn't hit the bootleg circuit, it would have been better left buried, because there's nothing great on it. And then I was kind of hyped up because they made another album. They were going to tour on this, but they never ended up touring. And this album really stinks. Really surprised that there's not like one song on here that I even liked that were memorable and I would ever listen again. I was shocked because I will listen to every Black Sabbath album, anything Tony Iommi did, beginning to end, and I just did not like this album. So that goes back to me hating 13. See how it all falls together? That's why I didn't talk too much about it then. It just... So by the time we got to 13, after I listened to Fused and all that other stuff, and after Cross Purposes, it was like... But a few just came in right after Never Say Die. He was like, oh, great, this sounds like Master of Reality. It was like... Come on. you're forgetting all the cool stuff that was in between. That's what I'm saying, you Ozzy fans who only listen to Ozzy, you missed out on a lot of great stuff. So where were we? After Cross Purposes. Oh, we got Never Say Die. Speaking of Never Say Die. I like this. This is the Ozzy era, but it was... They were all breaking up. They were on drugs. They barely finished this album, but for some reason, disasters like that made some really good songs. Like the song Never Say Die kicks total ass. Johnny Blade. The whole first side of this is amazing. The second side, they got really weird, and they started having, like, you know, saxophones and stuff like that. Then Bill Ward sings the last song. It was, what was it, Swinging the Chain? That song kicks some serious. Who you figure they might have considered? Well, he was like complete drunk at the time. Maybe they would have went Phil Collins and had him become the lead singer. I can't really see Bill Ward standing in front of being a front man, but he did have the voice. I'm gonna give him that. And that album is to prove that. Number 8. This album is just straight up badass. This got one of my all-time favorite Black Sabbath songs on there. The Headless Cross. On the album, The Headless Cross. Also out of print. Try looking for this one. Nightwing, Black Moon, Call of the Wild. All this stuff was great. Devil and Daughter. Wow. Was this my highest Tony? No, this is not my highest Tony Martin album. We'll get to my highest Tony Martin album. But this is, if you can find this, or just torrent it, or just listen to it on YouTube or something, it absolutely rules. So no, number 7. This is my highest Tony Martin album. Very underrated singer. Very underrated singer. We've got The Eternal Idol. I would say Headless Cross was his best song, but I don't know. I'm going to say The Shining was a little bit better song. Glory Ride, Born to Lose, Lost Forever. That song gets stuck in my head all the time. And there's 2 versions of this album. I got the deluxe version, which also has Ray Gillan. Remember him? He took over during Glenn Hughes, and this was the album that came over, because Glenn Hughes got fired during the tour. He came in, recorded the whole album, then quit the band, so they had to re-record it with a new singer who they were going to tour with. That ended up being Tony Martin. Legend, I was, oh, that album was so much better. But now that they finally released it and I heard it, it's not better than Tony Martin. Tony Martin totally killed it on this. I don't know, because it's more familiarity, but no, Tony Martin was just freaking awesome on this album. He had a higher voice. He's got kind of a Dio vibe to him. Good stuff. Number 6. Maybe a little higher. I don't know, because, you know, we didn't get to my boy yet a whole lot. Master Reality, number 6. This is like the most Black Sabbath-y album probably ever. Sweet Leaf's on there. Children of the Grave's on there. Lord of this World. It's got the slow doomy riffs. It's got his like faster riffs on here. Every song on here is a classic. It's not as played out as Forbidden. Not Forbidden. The Paranoid. Every time we're like the Children of the Grave comes on, even though I think they play that at least 90% of every concert. You got your head going, yeah, all right. Master Reality, all right, number 6. Number 5, my boy Dio. May he rest in peace. Mob Rules, his second album with the band. It sounds like a sequel to Heaven and Hell. A lot of the songs kind of match up. Like Turn Up the Night is kind of like, you know, what's the name of it? Die Young, stuff like that. Sign of the Southern Cross is kind of like Heaven and Hell type song. The Mob Rules, that song, love that song. It's also a different version of it is in the movie Heavy Metal. It's not the same exact recording. Good stuff. So where are we at now after Mob Rules? We're at number 4. All right, the last couple it took a lot of debate. This is probably the hardest stuff. This was the album that came out when I was first getting into Black. So this was the current album, and it's got a soft spot in my heart. Friend, I was like, he was into Black Sabbath. Like, are they still around? It's like, no, they're gone. I was like, well, Headbangers Ball came on, and then they showed TV Crimes. Like, hey, they're still there. There's that other singer guy. There's that Dio dude. This album kicked total ass. This is the second album by them I bought. I got I got the album I'll talk about a little bit later. First, this is the heaviest metal album ever. Every song on this is the way metal should sound. All of it. Computer God. They got Dio back. They got Vinny Appice back. His brother's Carmine Appice. What? Appice and Appice. Who knows? Time Machine from the Wayne's World. It was also a different recording for the movie. That's a bonus track on here though. Letters from Earth, Master of Insanity. Every song of this is absolutely killer. I absolutely love it. That's the way guitars should sound. That is the way metal should sound. Alright, number 3. This is also, you're either going to really love this album or some people hate it for whatever weird reason because it's not Ozzy. Number 3 is Born Again. This is with my boy Ian Gillan from Deep Purple. It's probably like the 3rd or 4th Black Sabbath album I ever got too. Because I remember one of my other friends who was like a Sabbath, like Ozzy purist, he's like, oh yeah, he gave me his tape copy. He's like, it sounds like that Dehumanizer album that you got here. Kind of sounds like it's one of the most metal albums you'll ever hear. This is also what I define heavy metal as sounding like. Trashed, Zero the Hero, completely awesome. Also felt a little bit too short. This is not the re-remastered version, but a re-remastered version has the one lost song, The Fallen, on there, which makes the album a proper, appropriate length that I felt completely satisfying. Every song on this I absolutely love. Ian Gillan, I don't think ever sounded this like demonic and evil and angry and heavy. His voice kind of took a step down after that, maybe after like Perfect Strangers. So, where are we now? We're at number 2. This is the first Black Sabbath album I ever, but this is probably most for, people in their 30s and 40s who had this. We sold our souls for rock and roll. This is also why Paranoid was down on the list. Say, I came back to this stuff. I told you to wait. You were still with me. Here we are. This got all the killer stuff, and it kind of dumps out this is the stuff, it's got the first 6 albums. It doesn't have Technical Ecstasy, so nobody cares about Technical Ecstasy. We didn't need Rock and Roll Doctor on there. I know they get newer best ofs with, it's all the Ozzy years, and then they add in the last 2 albums, but we'll survive on this, because it's got Sweet Leaf, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. Am I going insane? That's why I never liked that song. That was towards the end of the second part. Black Sabbath, The Wizard, but since that's disqualified, half this album is on that anyway, and it is their first album, Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath, The Wizard. Wizard's not on there. Wicked World, not on there. Oh no, Wizard was on there. Wicked World wasn't on there. NIB, that was great. All this stuff, classic stuff they still play in concert. They basically play this entire album every reunion concert. Speaking of the reunion album, this is, if you caught them on Ozfest, they only played like 10, 11 songs, whatever. At least this one you got 18, 19 songs. This is reunion. They got like 2 new songs that they never ever played again. It's good. This is before like Ozzy completely lost his voice. When I saw him, I saw him the last 2, 3 Ozfests. I saw him once with Sabbath and once or twice by a solo, and he could not sing at all. And that was over a decade ago, and they still trying to trot him out. Such a disappointment. It's also why I'm not a big Ozzy fan. I hate Sharon Osbourne. So, that leads me to what is number 1. What did we not talk about? Of course, I'm wearing a shirt. I got the autograph. Of course, it's Heaven and Hell. Heaven and Hell is the best Black Sabbath song. Come on. After they finish up playing Paranoid, when anybody other than Ozzy was in the band, they'd go into the Heaven and Hell riff as a reprise. That's wow, majestic and awesome. That's Tony Iommi's best riff. When I'm talking about majestic, he always had that underlying bluesy evilness, but then he also had the majestic evil, you know, satanicness of to him. That was like the real power. That's why I love it. You get all that basically with the song. Then Neon Nights is on there. Die Young, Wishing Well, all the good stuff. Hell yeah. Yeah, Dio, along with the majestic riffs, like Dio's voice was more majestic. You just brought like a new. He just felt like it brought Black Sabbath's game way up. That they could do more with him. And that's why I like this. That's why I like the 80s stuff on. Speaking of Dio, after Dehumanizer, I forgot to mention this. This is the album that came out after Dehumanizer. Strange Highways, kind of the Dio's solo band, kind of picking up where that left off. So I might edit this part in. And after Dio left, we had this album. Holy Diver. Let's go into some of the live albums. I don't have all of them. I got most of them. Here's my version of Live at Last. Different cover. Also by that same company that had the weird Volume 4. My Live Evil version. I like this. Cross Purposes Live. I got this one too. Yeah, try finding this one anywhere. This one came with a VHS tape, which had more songs on it. This isn't even the full concert. And I think that's everything I got. I know I have more tapes, but I didn't feel like dragging out the tapes. So, if you absolutely hated it, leave a comment. Be nice. Be nice, you know. You didn't listen to the whole discography, and I always get weird comments on that stuff too. People's like, I only listened to this. So why did you watch a thing on the best of the worst in the discographies? I don't get that. But hope you enjoyed it. Or you had fun. Like hear like some other crazy fans, weird oddball picks. Hope it was entertaining for you. Thank you. I was probably gonna I was working on doing a Yes complete discography, but they got a lot of bad albums. I just got sick of listening to them. But I am working on Elton John. He's got a lot of albums. He's got like 33 or something of those to get through. So if I ever finish listening to all of them, I only listened to about 22, 23 of them so far. So I got a lot more listening to do. That might be the next video. Stay tuned.